Hello everybody out there in review land, it's your 8-Bit MD here again, ready for another review for you. Now I'm going to give you a quick little idea of what kind of games I had at my disposal when I was growing up. I had the ColecoVision and the Nintendo Entertainment System. So naturally, I logged a lot of hours onto my Nintendo. And one of the games I had for my Nintendo was The Legend of Zelda. Now everybody knows The Legend of Zelda these days, but not a lot of people knew about The Legend of Zelda way back then. And especially since Zelda 2, The Legend of Link, wasn't quite as good as the first one, it kind of went downhill for a little bit, to tell you the truth. But then, there was hope for the legend. Indeed, a very, very great hope. When the Super Nintendo decided to launch their version, A Link to the Past. Okay, so some of you might be asking yourselves, why am I starting with this one? It's not even the first one in the series, and it's not even the last one in the series. Well, to tell you the truth, there's approximately 17 Legend of Zelda games to my recollection. The storyline is all messed up and can be debated by linearists and whatever you want to call yourselves. So, we're just going to stick to the game if we can. Now, the reason I chose this one is this is one of my all-time favorite games. And I'm pretty sure the rest of the Legend of Zelda fans out there can agree with me that this is at least one of the top 5 in the series. And that's saying a lot for, like I said, a series with over 15 games. Okay, so when I talk about The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past, I could probably go on all day. So I'm just going to narrow it down to the 5 reasons why I believe this game stands out at number 1 amongst an entire series of games. So, let's see what we got. Number 1. Colors. Super Nintendo was capable of a vast array of colors, thereby giving every game on the Super Nintendo a lovely combination of colors. Now they didn't go overboard, make it too dark, and they definitely didn't make it too bright like I believe Wind Waker. Now this really enhanced the fantasy feel of this game and allowed the gamer to immerse themselves in what they believed was a very, very excellent adventure. Number 2. The enemies in this game. The enemies in every Zelda game are never really too hard to beat. As long as you've equipped yourself reasonably well, you can make progress in this game constantly. It's not one of those dungeon crawlers where you find yourself having to constantly level yourself up to progress. And although that's good in games like Final Fantasy, Zelda has never touched on that, and we thank it for it. When you get to bosses, however, some of them are challenging and they always throw a different twist at you, leaving the adventure always new and exciting, and always giving you something to look forward to. Okay, so number 3 is going to be playability, or gameplay. Now what I mean by this is just how easy it is and how fluid the game seems to play, and the delay or the lack thereof. Now Zelda really hit the nail on this in almost every game that they've made. There's no delay, it never feels like you're lagging, it never feels like you're really having to force your character. Now also when I'm talking about gameplay, how easy it is to access your item menu in this game, and how easy it is to actually use your items in this game. Now it kind of takes on the 2-button scheme, which leaves you a couple extra buttons for quick access. Another thing you hear about Legend of Zelda games is this one was a staple because also it had the top-down view, and it was the first Zelda game to incorporate a swiping motion with the sword. Now this is a legendary staple of Zelda now, and gamers will talk about it until they're blue in the face, and that is one of the reasons why the gameplay of this game is legendary. Okay, so number 4 is going to be weapons and items. Now when I'm talking about weapons and items, I'm trying to keep it to the original 3 games here. I'm talking about things like the hook shot, bottles, and the net. Some things that were thrown in there that don't really have too much significance to the adventure, but really make things interesting and just fun. Now, with the net, you can catch fairies, put them in bottles, and if you die suddenly without regenerating yourself, the fairy will pop out of the bottle, revive you, bring you back to life, and you don't have to start the dungeon or whatever all over again. You could also catch a bee with the net and unleash this bee on an enemy, and it'll attack them. It's pretty cool. It has nothing to do with the adventure really, but it makes it playable and more fun to just go roaming about the really, really nice environment that they have for you. Now some of the new items that you see in this game compared to the first 2, because they've taken away the bridge, you can get the flippers. Now for the first time in Zelda, you can go swimming. You could also find hidden items, which is something that was kind of unique back then. Now you're kind of used to going into dungeons, beating the boss, getting an extra heart, and a new weapon. But no, in this Zelda game, if you don't go on a little adventure from time to time, you might not come across some of these items. So it gives you a really good reason to go out there and just adventure yourself away, boy. Just adventure yourself away. Okay, so number 5 is going to be the storyline. Now with so many Legend of Zelda games out there and so many conflicting storylines, it was impossible to put the storyline any higher on the list. It's just too confusing. But if you look at The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past for an individual adventure, it's definitely higher than a 5. But unfortunately, here we have to place it in with the rest of the storyline. Now the storyline for this game is, Ganon has found the Triforce that the 7 stages have hidden in the Golden Land. Now that he's got the Triforce, he's taking over, and has turned the Golden Land into the Dark World. Now, he needs the descendants of the 7 sages to break the barrier between Dark World and the Light World so that he can come through, merge the 2 worlds, and be ruler of everything. Now, naturally, one of the descendants of the 7 sages is Princess Zelda, which is why Ganon abducts her, and of course, as another staple of the Legend of Zelda series, Link's off to save the princess. Now, in this game, Link, or whatever you decide to name your character, is the descendant of the legendary Hero of Time, the real Link. Now again, this can be very conflicting with all the other games out there, but remember, when this game came out there was only 2 predecessors, and it was very easy to determine a timeline. Now without going too in detail about the storyline, because we all want you out there playing this game, you have to travel in between the Light World and the Dark World periodically, finding items to fight in different worlds, different locations, finding the hidden crystals, the hidden powers, the hidden dungeons, and all that stuff. Now the game progresses like any other Legend of Zelda game. You make it through the dungeons, you eventually fight the end boss. Naturally, you win, right? And then you save the day, and on to another adventure. Well, if you're like me and you've played the hell out of the Legend of Zelda series, I imagine that this game is definitely in your top 5 as well. Going back to all the memories you have playing this game from the 1st, the 5th, the 10th time, and all those times where you just couldn't find that last heart, or couldn't figure out how to upgrade your bomb pouch. Well, I'm one of those gamers too, folks. I remember playing this game for my 20th time, and only then finding out that I could upgrade my quiver and my bomb pouch. So this game has a lot of replayability to it. Whether you're playing it for the first time or the 5th time, you might always find something that you never noticed before, leaving you with another smile on your face and another epic legend completed. So until next time, I hope you enjoyed your review, and if you haven't played The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, it's definitely a must-play for any Legend of Zelda fan out there. So once again, this is your 8-Bit MD saying, hope you enjoyed your review. Thanks for watching. I will check you next time.